Hey guys, Leah here from Searching for Serenity. So I'm out and about and I've just ducked into around this gorgeous building because inspiration has just struck and I wanted to share something with you. So the title of this video is How a Single Cup of Tea Can Tell You Everything About Your Stress Levels. Now the first thing is, this little test that I'm going to share with you is not mine. I originally picked it up from a brilliant neuropsychiatrist who I was working with, who was an expert. And he actually talked about this at a training session I attended back when I was a mental capacity lawyer. But he was talking about going to see clients. Now, when you work in mental capacity, you learn very quickly that people's abilities depend on their energy. So you may often hear the phrase sundowning, which means that towards the end of the day, people with dementia tend to struggle because their energy is low, and as a result, their cognitive function is impaired. But he was talking in particular about how he would go and see clients for mental capacity assessments at their home so that he could really see how they were living. And he would go and see people, for example, who would remember that he was coming and would be nicely dressed and there at the door with him because they had the letter on the mantelpiece. Their coping strategies often meant that they appeared to be doing better than they were. Now this struck a chord with me because at this point I was already burning out in my career, and the concept of appearing to be doing better than you are definitely hit home for me. But he talked in particular about going to see people on a very simple test that he employed to see how their cognitive functioning was, and it was making a cup of tea. Now you might think that's really simple. We've all been making tea since we were wee high. Personally, I used to drink 10 cups of coffee as a teenager every day. But actually, the process of making a cup of tea is quite complex. You have to go and put the kettle. You have to realise that you need it. You have to realise where the kettle is, where all the bits and pieces are. You put the kettle on first, then you will have an argument about whether the milk goes in first or the tea bag, but either way, you do one of them. You have to remember how somebody takes their drink. Do they have milk? Do they have sugar? There's lots of steps in making a cup of tea, and if you get the sequence out of order, it's very obvious. If you put the milk in before the tea and you don't usually do that, you will make a bad cup of tea and you'll be confused by it. If you've asked somebody if they want sugar and 30 seconds later you're asking again, that means there's something going on. But this one hit home for me today because I got my sequencing completely out of line. I am a little bit tired and I was quite distracted, and I started trying to make coffee and I hadn't put the right coffee out and I put the wrong coffee in the mugs, and it was all very confusing. And it just reminded me, because I went to this training session, he talked about this cup of tea test for mental capacity, and I went back to the office and I had to check how my colleagues who I saw every day took their drinks because I'd completely blanked. And the reason for that is, when we are exhausted, when we're stressed out, when we're burning out, it affects all of our body. And you'll hear me talk a lot about the physical side of things, about the IBS, about the exhaustion, about the muscle cramps. But what we don't talk about as much, because it's quite scary, is that it affects our cognitive processing. Now this is right there in the burnout definition. Reduced professional efficacy. You're putting in more hours and seeing less return, because you're working slower, because you're more distracted, because it's taking longer for you to process things. And we see this all the time with people who multitask. Our brains cannot multitask. We simply switch rapidly between individual tasks. But the more you multitask, the more downtime there is between task A and task B, and the longer it takes. So if you want to assess your stress levels in a really quick and easy fashion, stand up, take the tea and coffee orders from everybody in the desks around you and go and make them. How many times do you double check yourself? How many times do you need to write it down because you can't remember whether Sheila has 1 or 2 sugars in her coffee, or whether so-and-so has the posh tea instead of the normal one that everybody else drinks? If you can't remember those things, then it's a really good indicator that you are running on fumes and you need to make a change. Go and try that out today. Or if you're making lots and lots of tea and coffee, that's usually a good indication too. So try it out today and let me know, has this tea test helped you? Has it reminded you that you are struggling? Is it a really good, clear litmus test for you on the days that you are quieter, on the days that your processing is a bit slower, on the days that you've got a bit of brain fog? Or do you want to slightly kill me because I've just even ruined a cup of tea for you? Either way, let me know. I'm very excited because I'm currently about a quarter of the way through writing Burnout, the user's guide, and it's going to be released on the 1st of August. The pre-orders closed last night. You can now only get it through Amazon, and I will start giving you guys the link shortly, but that will be delivered straight to your Kindle on 1st of August. So I'm very excited. I hope you are too. Please do like and share all of the links as they come out, and if this video has helped you, it will help others, so please do like on it, comment on it, share it out to others as you need to. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch up with you guys soon. Bye for now.